Well, hopefully everyone's enjoying their lunch, while doing so, it's my great pleasure to introduce Gladys Kashimoto on behalf of Cobalt and on behalf of the conference. Gladys is a Zambian. She's come all the way over here to talk about the importance of community engagement in projects that she's worked on. I've had the honor and the pleasure of working with her now on a couple of projects, both in DRC and in Zambia, and the work that she and her team does is absolutely critical, as we heard this morning, in making this transition that we're trying to make. So Gladys, it's my great honor to ask you to come up and tell us all about your work.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. I hope this makes a nice icebreaker. I'm a community person, and I want to engage every one of you because you are my stakeholder. So expect me to be where you are because this is what I do on behalf of Cobalt. Everyone was worried when they were talking about artificial intelligence. They thought there is no human contact. But I want to prove to you that besides the so expensive research, the so good things, there is human contact in Cobalt meters. Like someone has said, I'm Gladys Kashimoto, Community Engagement Manager, lead Zambia. So, born on the Copper Belt province of Zambia, when the mines then were run by the Zambia Consolidated Copper Mines. That was after independence. So there was nationalization, and I grew up in that era, where ZCCM, which is Zambia Consolidated Copper Mines, was like responsible for everything that was happening in that country in terms of development. So the mining industry versus the communities, and especially in the Copper Belt province of Zambia. I went to school at Dominican Convent, which was a very good school then, but sponsored by ZCCM. I had my free books. I had my free pencils, my uniforms. There were school feeding programs. Everything was done from the resource that came from the mines. I want you to get this because it has an effect on what the investor is doing today when they go to mine in Africa. So the mindset of a Zambian is the mine is supposed to, whoever is there, whether in exploration or in mining, they're supposed to take care of my needs. But an investor wants to recoup their investment. So conflict starts at community level. People here are seated, there's so much investment, there's so much research. The Zambian back home is saying, because you're going to get, whatever you are going to get, whether it's coal or copper, I don't mind. You found that I already had an idea about copper. What you should know is the mining industry hasn't started with the scientists or with the technocrats. In Zambia, it's a traditional thing. In the villages, people already knew about copper as early as the 1800s. They were using it to make whatever they could make to help them have their lives go. But today, we've seen so much technology happening, and the investors, we're talking about artificial intelligence, all those things coming. Yes, change is inevitable, but how do we take care of the host communities? And that's what I do in Cobalt Metals. I take care of the host communities where the work happens. I take care of people that feel they should benefit from the mining industry. So I've talked about the free education, the infrastructure, the sporting activities. At one point, I was a beneficiary at a very tender age. Through the sporting activities, I found myself going out of the country. So which mining company today is ready to take the kids just for such events when their interest is what they get out of the soil? Remember, you will not get it if just one member of the community says no and causes problems. I have a very good example. We failed to go ahead with one project somewhere because just one individual feels you can't. And the time we are taking, remember, exploration is very expensive. The drill rig is supposed to have moved. The owners parked it. They're charging per hour. So we are losing resource just because one individual said, you didn't do the right person to get land access. Besides everything we've heard in the morning, one can disturb the whole process if not well handled. So, away from where I grew up came the 1990s, where we had to go back to privatization. And as we go back to privatization, problems start. The community was not ready. Nothing was happening in this world. Nothing had been put in place in terms of the framework. The resource of the country started going down because there was, sorry to mention this, I know there's someone from Zambia Consolidated Copper Mines. Management was not that good. So there was overspending on the part of government just to entertain the communities because it was a political promise. We were taken to school, for example, because there was a promise to say, if we take you to England, you come back to be responsible over the resource of the country. When we went back, it didn't happen. So that was wasted resource. But the mindset of my parents, imagine, all they knew is that ZCCM was responsible. But at the time of transition, when things had not been well managed, the resource started going down. There was no research. There was no proper way of doing things. Trouble started for my country. And people had to think. The politicians quickly rushed. Can we quickly privatize? As they privatized, things were not in place. Grievance mechanisms were not there. Stakeholder engagements were not there. There was no environmental management. Everything was like you learning from nothing to something. Even at the world level, there was nothing. If you remember, because we were talking about Millennium Development Goals, the Tokyo Protocol, we didn't think of the extractive industry and the effect it was going to have on the host communities. But slowly, people realized and started discussing, oh, we need something to change. The quality education that was there no longer existed because no one was putting money in the education sector. And the divide comes. Education has a direct impact on the mining industry. Because if you pick someone that has not gone to school to work for you, you will not get the desired results. Is that true? If you don't do enough in terms of education in the country, you are in problems. It is only now, after the comeback of President Hakainde Hichilema, that we've seen the free education start to happen in Zambia, but it is too late. We've wasted like 31 years, and to catch up is not an easy thing. But we believe, and I want to tell you, that we hold what is in the soul. Josh, is it not true that we told you that you can go back to California, our copper will never expire? It is you that wants our copper. it is not us that wants you. We have such people, we have people that bring out such statements, and they are a big risk to all the projects. Fine, there we go. And entry of cobalt wanting to do things differently. They look for someone that has worked in a very, very, very difficult country in Africa. Believe me, if there is somewhere where it is difficult to work, although you know what you're doing, it's the DRC. I've been doing community engagements in the DRC for a very big project some people may know, the Kamoa Kakula copper project under Ivanhoe Platts. So, I've talked about all these things, and we know we want now to change the status quo of mining, not even mining, exploration, because this is where it all starts. The traditional way of doing this is Kate House getting on a plane from California, dropping in Zambia, Minister of Mines, they engage. I want to go to Mingomba. The document is done. The community of Mingomba is not aware. We've said no, because Josh and the Minister of Mines are not the host communities. And that is where cobalt is coming in, to make a difference from the onset. Exploration companies have had no interface with communities. They've gone to the traditional leaders, the chiefs. They've gone to the big people in government, and they've gotten their documents. All you see as a person that lives in the community is someone coming with one large machine called a drill rig. And the children tell you, because they are the ones that are very watch, if there's a machine in this community. What is the machine doing? No, they say they have a letter. You try to make noise, the next thing is you're being taken to the police. Issues of human rights have not been respected, but thank God to the big girls and girls somewhere in the world and sit and say, can we respect issues of human rights? Can we look at engagements? Can we look at all these protocols that support community members? The vacuum slowly is being removed. One thing we should appreciate about cobalt metals, I think they've invested a lot into understanding and knowing how the sector should operate so that both parties are comfortable, the host community and the investor. They don't only talk about the environment. There have been issues. Leave the environment better than you left it, or leave the environment the way you left it. You forget that there is that third hand, the human hand, that is more affected. What have we done? We have an approach. This approach, we have already put in place a framework, community investments. There is money. The first day I was getting in the office, I was told you have this cash to do that. That was cool for me. We're taking care of the environment, stewardship about the environment. So we don't want to have negative impacts. If they're going to be there, they should be very minimal. And how are we going to do this? The other slide will show. Then we have already the stakeholder engagement. We have live documents. You can go to our website. You see what we are doing, meaning we've planned not 5 years from now. We're talking about 15 years from now. We've learned from our friends how they've been taken to court 15 years after, down the line after being in the area. So we have had our own learning lessons. When I was at lunch, we had a discussion. Artificial intelligence takes away almost every opportunity. At Cobalt Metals, no. It brings in more opportunities because it defines. That slide shows you something. what we're trying to do. So we have the natural resources there. We have understanding our local communities. And understanding them, we are already doing the socio-economic surveys so that we understand a lot about them. Apart from the socio-economic surveys, we want to have every information, the language. When you come to Zambia, we've developed a cultural induction. You have to understand my culture, because those are the gaps that have been there. There's that big gap that needs to be closed up. For example, I don't know anything that happens here in California. I've had that to learn. And the same thing applies when we have our experts. They have to go through the cultural induction, how to dress, how to address people, how to talk to the Royal Highnesses, how to approach government ministries. We teach them all that so that we are not going to have a conflict. We also identify people we call gatekeepers in society. You just enter into a community, he's not even gone to school, but he's able to spoil a lot for the intended purpose of your visit. You just say, but what are you doing here? You didn't even greet me nicely. So we take care of that. I don't sit in the office. I'm out in the community because I have to listen and listen and listen. It's not a smooth journey. There are all the negatives you may find. No, you use the ambulance to steal our core because they know the core. No, but you see that ambulance, someone was sick. Even wearing of PPE may make noise in the community, protective clothing in the mining industry. It is an issue at times. So what is it that you should be doing? So that sits right in the office. And so the issues of artificial intelligence, please, let's treat them with that care. It is to help us get the information quickly, but we're taking communities in a different way. In 3 months, we're already engaging. It's us in that picture. Then, it's all about when you come with your good intelligence, we'll match a community member to you so that by the time you leave the project, you'll have left some knowledge behind. That's what those pictures are showing. There's integration happening at community level. So this so good knowledge that you acquired gets into the community members. I'll show you other slides. Someone has to go back for me to show now what exactly happens at community level when you get to integrate. So the person running the slides, I need the pictures now for everything we do, apart from these, that in 3 months, you've seen the interaction that we've had. Apart from what John explained about the artificial intelligence, so many things. Ah, that's beautiful. Very beautiful. So, in the first slide you see there, we are in the community. We are explaining our entry and what we're doing as Cobalt. Yes, we are on a mining license, but we are here for exploration. And why are we doing exploration? Because one of the questions is, by 1954, we already know that there is copper here. No. We want to establish our own resource, and we have our own methods. Are you going to allow us? They agree. The second slide, even our dress code changes in the community because we went before the palace there to face a Royal Highness, and the dress code changes. You can see how happy I am in the community because I've left everyone happy. And then I've done my work. The other slide there where you see corn, as our equipment is in the community, it impacted negatively on the staple food of the country. So quickly, you go in, You engage, you find the owner of the corn, you compensate. That we are doing to keep relations. The other one, that's the traditional way of how we live in Zambia. That is a meeting place. I have to be there. I know I have an income, I have a better home, but I have to reduce myself to those levels and understand the community. Another thing is the environment. I have to work in the environment and understand what is in there before I do anything. Those beautiful drill machines you saw being set in February, they needed me to enter that space before they set the machine up, because I needed to know if I was going to affect anyone. The other slides, please, before these ones. Thank you very much. Skill transfer. We know everyone needs to dress up nicely. We train someone to make clothes at community level. For livelihood, we need protein, we need whatever. We need a nutritionist. So we assist in buying at least the small luminance so that their nutritional levels are improved on. There, on that plane, 5 chiefs quarreled because each one wanted ownership of the land where the mine was supposed to sit, Kakula Copper Project. We chartered that plane, took them to a neutral place. It's expensive, of course. Took them to a neutral place. 3 days into the meeting, today, the Kamoa Kakula Copper Project exists because of that engagement. We went to Mozambique, away from Congo, because we really wanted to be neutral. Charcoal burning, deforestation. When you talk about gas, no clean energy, who understands it? No one. So that is a risk to the project. So we brought in a very important person, the late president, the first president of the Republic of Zambia, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, because he had influence to teach the communities planting back. The mine waste, whatever you think is waste, we recycle it and help people at household level to provide for their silos to keep their food. Instead of saying, where am I going to take these drums after I've used the diesel? So you can use to create an environment that is clean. Next, please. We help communities to move away from the life of thinking, this is my copper, I'm supposed to mine. Usually at community levels, at entry, we find a lot of illegal mining activities. We do a replacement. Tree planting on relinquished drill sites is done by communities. We help to train them together with government officials on how to plant back. Where we were getting, say, laterites for the roads, we leave behind fish ponds because we need food at community level. A happy woman there who was an illegal miner. She's now a small-scale farmer and is able to put food on the table for the children. The interesting one is even the small kids participate at community level, because once you impart knowledge in them, it will be forever. They are better than giving to someone that is already old. A happy member of the community who never knew how to farm, they have something. In-house training, someone is even selling. So the community engagements have happened, and everyone is happy. Cat House is happy for his money. The community members are happy because they've achieved something from this project. And Gladys now becomes very happy. Good afternoon. How was the engagement? Questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gladys. It was an immensely inspiring talk. Sophia, I'm a PhD student with Mineral X. I'm a geologist as a background. I'm trying to understand what is the real impact of what we do. We all here help companies to explore more, how to do it faster, how to make decisions, but what is the really impact of that all subsurface problems, how it's like really impacting the surface. And learning a little bit how to interact with communities, something that has been striking, like something that has called my attention is that sometimes as outsiders, you come with an idea of how the company could help the community and what the community needs. And what I've learned is like we really need to the community already knows what they need. Like the companies just need to help them to realize that long-term goals. So something that I would like to ask you is something that maybe even going to the Congo or in different locations of Zambia, like some of the questions or demands of the communities that have had that maybe the companies were even thinking and has really like impacting for the long term of the community.
Thank you very much for the question. The most frequently asked questions is, when are you going to employ us? That is one of the questions that we get frequently. The other questions that we get frequently are, what are you going to do in this community so that we know that you've come to live with us? So, how do we respond to those questions? One, we have an opportunity for local employment for the community members. The very, very basic jobs we offer to communities. For skilled labor, there is a website. People get into the website and they look for jobs. If a community member qualifies, I'm the first one to support. I'm the first one to support. The other things we do, the reason why we do surveys is to establish what we should be doing for the communities. For example, where we are in the four communities, we've noticed that the community needs some infrastructure for school. So we're discussing already with my lead person to say, we cannot allow these small kids to walk more than 5 kilometers to go and access education. So can we do something on behalf of the community? We're also looking around for people that can simply say, we have so many of the IT equipment, can we put it in the community where you are so that people join in this technology world? Because it's not everything. We have our limitations. We have budgets. So if there are people that are ready to help the communities in which we operate, our hands are very open, as long as protocols of donating are followed. We don't want to be caught napping. The other things that we do is the way we've come here. We are interfacing. To me, I've not come for the presentation. I've come to know you. I've come to know him. I've come to know the next person, so that we can work together, and that network then helps the communities in where we are hosted. So to us, networking is very, very important because we have to know where our every other stakeholder is. So if I've engaged you already, and I expect good results. Thank you very much. Any other question? This is interesting. It means people were listening. I'm
Hello.
excited.
Should I go first? Is there someone in the back? Okay, I'll go second.
I'll be quick. I'm Emma Rashulufuhangi, and after getting my PhD from Stanford at Earth Science, I work for a major company, and I decided to go back home, Madagascar, to explore the mining. So, because people say Madagascar is very rich, but the people are poor, so let's try and solve that problem. Thank you very much for what you said. It's right on. I have 20 years of experience now, and I would like to bring a testimony because I am the first native Malagasy that own a mining company, and the comparison between a native-owned mining company and a foreign-owned company is huge. I understand it. I'm a businesswoman. I understand the situation. But the one thing that I would like to say is that community involvement is huge. It makes the difference of success and failure. And another thing is, I've worked, we developed, because Madagascar has hundreds of millions of tons of cobalt, copper, lithium, all of this. But every company, foreign companies that go to Madagascar, they face huge problems, and mainly because of that community involvement. I have never had a single problem for 20 years. And that is because people, when they believe, I understand the issue of infrastructure. There's no talent, no skills, no electricity. And the people of the government are corrupt. Yes, but you brought it up, so I'm not gonna carry on, but if you need some kind of experience, field experience, how to be successful in Africa, in mining, because the resources are there, we can have a discussion. But I invite you to go to Madagascar. These resources that the world needs to transition to renewable energy, Madagascar has hundreds of millions of tons there. And I can help you to be successful and to have no problem with this community and geopolitical and all of it. I'm saying that based on my own experience for more than 20 years. Thank you.
Wait,
Hi,
we
Gladys,
should...
I have a question before you stop.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing. It's so interesting, and it's the direction that we want everyone to be going in exploration. My name's Monica Skelton. I'm from Rio Tinto. I would love to hear how you navigate managing expectations for your communities in Zambia, given that you're in the exploration stage of project development. I know one of the challenges that we have is this first question. You were talking about first questions. The first one that I hear often, and my team hears, is, when are you building the mine? So how do you navigate that?
Thank you very much. Honesty is a very, very good answer. I've been asked those questions. When are you building the mine? No. Thank you very much, community members. I would love to build it tomorrow, but there's something that I should do before I build the mine. I have to establish my resource, because this is not a small-scale mining where I'm going to get what I want to get now and move on. I have to really bring in a lot of other things. I'm doing the preliminary stages, and I use the experience of having had worked in other exploration sites. I was at Kamoa in Dave Broughton, when did we meet at Kamoa? 2008, 2009 to 2015. This is when the mine is being built, because they've now established. So I take time. It's not easy because people are eager. Cobalt metals is a risk to the other mining companies in Zambia because there's been so much political pronouncements about this mine that is going to make the electric car battery. It's going to employ more than 2,000 people. That expectation of 2,000 job opportunities is not easy. So I move around. The way I'm doing, that's the way I talk to my community members. I would really love to have seen this mine open the next day. But we have to deal with the preliminary issues. Wait for us to finish exploration, wait for us to do the next stage, and we have formed what we call the monthly visitations into communities to update them. That gives them the confidence. We want to be consistent, develop trust, to be fair, and give hope, because we want to be honorable. And being honorable is by passing on the information, the true information to the community members. They appreciate, and they get excited. They even say, no, they call him Gladys. When Gladys comes, she's going to tell us, no, you shouldn't cheat people. Now I've become a favorite, a household name in the community that I work. And I would encourage the mining companies to look for a person that behaves like Gladys, even if it means spending a night in the community because there is need. Forget about your laptop and everything, because it is important for us to get that resource, for us to have that clean energy. Community engagement is the key. Thank you.